He woke up and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." On Monday, Roberta and I visited Winchester Cathedral. As you know, it's old, and there has been a church on the site for well over 1,000 years. The old Saxon church was knocked down to make way for the Norman buildings, which was added to and altered over the next 400 years. In its lifetime, the cathedral has faced wars, the dissolution of the monasteries, the Reformation, the savagery of Cromwell's troops, who opened coffins and strewed their contents across the floor of the cathedral, even using some of the bones to smash the beautiful stained glass windows. There were to be other wars, political, social and religious changes, moments when the very existence of the building was in peril of collapsing from natural disaster. But despite all this, the cathedral remains a place of worship, prayer and solace for all who walk through its ancient doors. It has witnessed the best of human endeavour, and it's seen the very, very worst of human nature. It has stood in sunshine, and it has weathered many storms, and will do so in the years and centuries to come. It will do so simply because within its walls you do get a sense of the greatness of God, the God to whom it was built to glorify. Jesus too faced many storms in his short life here on earth. In today's Gospel story, which you'll find in Mark 4, he faces a storm of nature. Jesus was exhausted. He'd been speaking to the people who had come to him for healing and to listen to his teachings. He needed a rest, so he and his disciples set sail to cross the Sea of Galilee. Jesus falls asleep. Peter and the others in the boat must have looked up at the gathering storm clouds, forming around the hills which form a channel for incoming winds from the north. The lake is notorious for the savage storms which blow up across its waters with little or no warning. The disciples' small fishing boat was about to be caught in one such storm, and they knew that there was nothing they could do to prevent what was to come. They would be completely in God's hands. Suddenly, the storm hits the boat with all its fury. The boat begins to fill with water. Jesus still sleeps. The boat is out of control. The sail is flailing. The boat is caught in the chaos of the elements. The rudder will not respond. The timbers groan. The boat will soon be lost. In desperation, the disciples call out to Jesus, "Do you not care that we will all soon be lost?" Jesus awakes, and as he does so, he speaks out into the wind and the sea. "Peace," he calls. "Be still," he says. All becomes calm. The disciples are in awe. These men would have known the Psalms inside out, so perhaps their thoughts went to these words from Psalm 107. Then they cried out to the Lord in their trouble, and he brought them out of their distress. He stilled the storm to a whisper. The waves of the sea were hushed. The disciples asked themselves, "Who is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him?" There can only be one answer. This man is God. What makes you, me, us afraid? What is it that we fear? There are, of course, the little fears we stumble across and over nearly every day. Those worries we have when our minds race ahead to things which might go wrong. The worrying about the maybes and the possibilities. Then there are those greater fears. The worries about our health, our employment, our future, our families and our friends. And then there are those really deep worries. Times when we're confronted by loss in all its many forms. Our lives are surrounded by different layers, rather like those of an onion. We're at the centre, And around us we have a layer of family and friends, then one of acquaintances, then one of people we sometimes meet, and then those we will never meet, and those we will never know or hear about. But all the same, our lives are somehow connected to one another with all those different people, through all those layers that surround us, through many, many different lives. Despite our connections, we never escape our fears. There are political ideologies we fear. There's war, terrorism, climate change. There are nations we fear, especially those who may bear us ill will. So many fears, so many uncertainties, so many storms to ride out. And just how many times do we struggle on alone? How often do we allow our worries and fears to begin to overwhelm us? Yes, we have family and we have friends that we can often turn to in times of real need. But in those darkest of times, when we find ourselves alone in the shadows, when the darkness is at its very darkness, when the storms are at their fiercest, it is then that we can put ourselves into the hands of God and let Him hold us, just as He held the disciples in their fear in that storm so long ago. What Jesus said to them, He still says to us. These words, peace, be still. God is still able to still the storm. We should sometimes remember the words of Mother Julian of Norwich when she said this: God did not say, you will not be tempest tossed. He did not say, you will not be weary. He did not say, you shall not be distressed. But he did say, you shall not be overcome. Peace, be still, and know that I am